So by now you've heard hundreds of opinions from all of the reviewers across the land. So why would you care about what I have to say about it? Well, I don't know. But don't go anywhere. It's true. I'm no fighting expert. So I'm not gonna be able to tell you all the technicals, which characters have the unlimited unbreakable combos, and which ones need balancing. All I can do is speak to you from the perspective of a casual fighting fan who considers Marvel vs. Capcom one of his favorites. So I wanna start right here. The fighting. The pure fighting in Marvel vs. Capcom is exactly what we demanded. The animations are so buttery smooth. They are perfectly over the top and flashy as hell. And while I do wonder what the sprites of old could have looked like, I do think that the 3D turned out a lot better than I expected, especially in motion. The graphics are beautiful. The environments are rich and detailed. The camera is dynamic. It is pure eye candy.
You cannot hide from me. Your end has come.
You lose.
You are defeated. I will begin consumption of this world immediately.
It sounds like Capcom nailed it, right? All is good in the land of Marvel vs. Capcom. Unfortunately, no. I wanted to come out here and say that. Instead, I have to say that this game is seriously lacking in every aspect. Something that took me completely off guard. Now, I hope you guys come to my show to get an honest opinion and not to be catered to. Regardless, I know a lot of you are gonna be pissed off with what I have to say. You don't fucking understand, man. You don't know shit about fighting games, dude. I ain't watching your show never again. Okay, well here goes. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a massive f***ing disappointment. Not just for me, but for everyone. Look at my face. Now, before I get flooded with people personally attacking me, let me explain every single one of my points to you and why I feel this way. The core of it is that Capcom thinks that they can give us the bare minimum and we should just be happy with it. Well, no, I'm sorry. Marvel vs. Capcom has earned the right. It deserves more. This game feels half finished. Nay, it is half finished. Like it's not all completely there. I keep thinking that I'm missing something on this disc. Like there's more. First, there's no plot at all. In recent games like Continuum Shift and Street Fighter 4 have proven that fighting games can have an engaging story, that you can have very nice animations or FMVs to complement the competitive side. Marvel vs. Capcom has zero plot pieces aside from the start screen movie, and some of the worst, most disappointing character endings I've ever seen. And that's even if they make sense. No, I'm sorry. I just can't forgive these. It's like 30 plus mini Kane and Lynch 2 endings. It's incredibly f***ing lazy. And you know it, don't you? I can just see it now, the one guy saying, hey, we should have full character FMV endings for each one of these. We need to go all out.
Character endings, we don't need it. Get rid of it. Don't need it. Don't need it. We don't need it.
The entire game reminds me a lot, in fact, of King of Fighters 12. In that review, I issued that game a 6 out of 10, and basically said that while the fighting is solid and highly polished, everything else is missing. It's the same deal here. The fighting is excellent, and it's a lot more offensive based than Street Fighter 4, less of a chess match. But there's definitely room for both of these types of game. What you get here though is bare bones. And I guess I just expected Capcom to go all out. to include all of the great modes and lessons learned from their previous fighting games. But that's not what happened here.
Come now. They'll buy it anyway. We don't need it.
It's very obvious and so basic the things that they forgot, and that makes me even more angry. Fighting games are about competition, right? Facing off one-on-one, mano-a-mano. Then why the hell is it impossible to connect to anyone? You're gonna get a lot of this, even into a week plus of its release. Why does it fail to connect to a player 80% of the time? Let's say you finally get into a lobby. Well, right now, if that lobby is 8 players, you sit there and stare at the screen like an idiot for 20 minutes while the other players' title, license cards bump, hump, and grind each other. It would have been nice to actually see the action, but spectator mode has been ignored.
Don't need it.
Not only could it have been used to help improve players, but it's also extremely helpful in refereeing for online tournaments. Or at the very least, it gives a player something to do other than stare at a wall. I refuse to go into lobbies anything bigger than like 3 or 4, making it pointless. Though it has been said that spectator mode will be patched in post-release, hopefully as free DLC. And I guess you could theoretically patch all of the connectivity issues, but beyond this, you have a relatively weak character roster with some questionable choices. Leaving out fan favorites for characters like She-Hulk? Really? Who uses She-Hulk?
Let's see, who else could we include? Fan favorites, let's see. Oh, MODOK! I love MODOK! What? Just do it!
Wow. Now, the weak-ass roster can be debated until you're blue in the face. So what else? This game introduces simple mode, and it also simplifies the punches and kicks down to low, medium, and high attacks with a special move button. First off, the simple mode doesn't teach you anything. It's simple button noobs whipping the asses of people trying to legitimately learn the game like me. Why the isn't there a filter for this shit? It's like the online division of Capcom took the year off of development. How could you overlook this? It completely destroys the competition and skill online. That is, unless you graduate to the next league and the next league above that. But we're talking about beginners. And with these new buttons, MVC is now TVC. For the first time in this franchise, they change everything. I could teach you how to play Street Fighter Alpha. That knowledge then applies to Alpha 2 and 3, to Third Strike, to Marvel Superheroes, to Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, Street Fighter 4, and then this game? Everything I taught you is invalidated. Why the hell isn't there at least a classic controls mode?
Don't need it.
What about the missing tournament mode?
Fuck it, throw it out.
One of the most amazing and extremely fun features of Super Street Fighter 4 was the tournament mode. This would have been the single biggest addition to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, especially if it was bumped up to 16 players. It would even encourage site tournaments among gaming sites and forums, selling even more copies of the game. Why did you leave it out? There are no saving replays. And if this game is trying to be simplified, why is it missing a substantial tutorial mode? What's there is seriously lacking. It's not intuitive. For each move, I have to press start, scroll down, look at mission objectives, open up a separate screen, try to memorize the moveset, close the screen, just to know exactly what the hell they want me to do. It should be visually displayed on the screen. It's like a tutorial mode for people that already know how to play. It's a maintenance mode is what it is. You have to study the manual to figure out things like what an assist type is, how to execute all the varying combinations, the wave dashes, the X factor, crossover counters, team and advanced blocking moves. We'd like a real tutorial mode. If Capcom's primary mission was to cater to new players of the franchise, they failed. The tutorial mode is a joke. There's none of the extras that casuals appreciate, like a story mode, or even worthwhile character endings. Can someone explain why they left out all the features that made Super Street Fighter 4 the best fighting game out there? All of the nostalgia in the world couldn't keep me from feeling disappointed with this shallow experience. I wonder if anybody feels the same way about this game. Why aren't more of you angry? And so far from the glowing reviews, I must be in the minority. I'll probably get torn apart for this, but I am issuing Marvel vs. Capcom 3 a final verdict of 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 again for me is slightly above average, because that is what this game is. For having such a terrible online experience, and for forgetting or ignoring all of the little things. Some of you will say, well, the fighting's good and that's all that should matter, Joe. No! That's what we should expect at bare minimum. They don't get a gold medal for having solid fighting. That's where you start from. But don't get me wrong, people. The fighting is great. You're gonna have a ton of fun when you're doing it. But the online play is garbage. And the whole game is a bare bones experience. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they are fucking lying or in denial. A 6 out of 10 from me. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 deserves more. I wanted to come here at this moment of the review and recommend this game to everyone. But this isn't a game for anyone other than fans of the original. Nowadays, gamers demand more from their fighting games. I hope you guys can respect my personal opinion on this game. It really disappointed me. It's lacking everywhere, and you know it. Even you staunch defenders of the games know it. That this isn't what you were expecting. And I'm just really scared that we're gonna see Capcom announce Super Marvel vs. Capcom 3 with all of the features that we were expecting. Call it a marvelous Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Until that fateful day, I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.
Yes! That's a fucking brilliant idea! Someone get started on that! We'll call it Marvelous Marvel vs. Capcom 3! God bless you, Joe! God bless you! Oh.